Hey, Wayne Williams here, speaking of horses, and we are in Richmond, Indiana, not Virginia, Richmond, Indiana, and we are at Sunrise, right here, Sunrise Inc. Now, Sunrise is a therapeutic riding program. They are involved with PATH, which is the national organization, and we're going to take you on a look around Sunrise, meet the people. You're going to get to see some of the students, the horses, and how all of this comes together for a therapeutic riding program, which is a tremendous program. If there's one in your area, anywhere in the country or in North America, please get involved with it. Right now, on Speaking of Horses, let's take a look around Sunrise Therapeutic Riding Program. Well, here we are, speaking of horses, and very happy to be at Sunrise. Now, Sunrise is a therapeutic riding program, and they're a part of PATH, which is the national organization that oversees all of these things. And I'm very happy to be standing here with Becca Funk, and she is the program director here at Sunrise. Now, Sunrise is located in the Richmond, Indiana area, and gives lessons and helps a lot of physically and mentally challenged, as all of the centers around the country do, with horseback therapy. So, Becca, tell us a little history about Sunrise.
Well, Sunrise was originally founded in 1980 and started up with just a few people and horses, and they've just built from there and just made it really awesome. We have a small barn that we work out of, and we make it work. We like to do annual shows for the students and their families, and we do all kinds of fundraisers and go to 4-H fairs, and it's a really great program, and the students love it. So.
Well, I've been around many therapeutic riding programs over the years, and have worked with some. And there's nothing more rewarding than to bring some of these kids in that you just can't imagine what it does for them, either physically or mentally.
Yeah, I love it a lot. We've had a couple of students who have clearly shown their progress. One student came in and did not talk to anybody except for his mom. We had to ask questions through her. And one of his last days here, before he moved on to the next stage in his life, she said for him to thank everybody. And he said, "Bye, Sugar Plum." And that was just the best thing, because he had never talked to us for a really long time, and then to be so flirtatious, it was kind of nice to see.
Yeah. So you've been with the program how long now?
I've been here for 12 years. I started as a rider myself with ADD and also scoliosis in my back. Moved up to be a volunteer, which has always been really rewarding, and I stayed a volunteer, but I also became an intern, junior board member, vice president of the board, president, and now director. So it's so much fun and so awesome to be able to move up in the program.
Now, you've been with the program 12 years, and you told me you're just 20?
I'll be 20 in March, so I'm not even quite 20 yet.
So you started actually coming in here as a rider and taking advantage of the program. And it's wonderful that you just kept your involvement going and kept right with it. And you can personally see everything that it's capable of doing.
Yeah, definitely. I no longer have scoliosis in my back. It's totally corrected it. I don't go to the doctor for it anymore at all. So that's awesome. And now I get to make a difference in other students' lives, and I know that it's going to benefit them. So it makes it that much more rewarding to know that, someday they might be able to walk and talk and maybe even have a job, and it helps them so much, and it's awesome.
I've seen kids that you talked about, the one that didn't speak except through mom. There are so many physical benefits, but there are probably 10 times as many mental benefits to this.
Yeah, I have a student right now who I have to back ride with him because he can't sit up on his own, but he started talking to the horses more, and he is able to sit up more on his own now, but I do see it's quicker to see the mental and the emotional connections that they have with the horses and all the differences that it makes in their happiness and in their life. And the parents tell us how much they talk about the horses when they go home and how much they love it. And, if they miss a lesson, they might forget that day, but the next day they're like, "Hey, hold on a second, I didn't get to go." So just to see their emotional benefits from that almost right away it's so rewarding, as well as the physical benefits that come later on.
Well, part of the program too, it's not just the getting on the horse and riding the horse and getting the fact that you have, the movement in the horse is basically similar to the movement if you were walking. So you get that same body movement for the physically challenged. But the other part of that is that they learn a lot about the preparation and the care of the horses, what you have to do before. You don't just get on and ride.
Yeah.
They learn about the prep before and the prep after and the care and maintenance, right?
Correct. And some of them are not able to fully care for the horse before, but sometimes they get to watch and pet. I have one student that he only comes in just to give the horses treats. He is really off balance, and it makes him really nervous to actually get on the horse. So if he's feeling really good that day, we might bring a horse in and he gets to groom, and he learns about the brushes and learns about how we groom the horse and gets the benefit of seeing the horse being happy, being groomed and pampered, which makes him feel really good about himself because he can make a horse feel like that and feel really happy. And so I do have a couple students like that. And I also have students, like I said, that might just sit on the sidelines and watch, and they still really like that, and they get to pet the horses beforehand and things. So,
well, see, that's another one of those benefits that you can't really figure. It's not just getting on the horse. It's just being around a horse can make a ton of difference.
yeah, that is definitely true. And a lot of the horses that I've been around, I've ridden over 40 different horses and met a lot more, and they can tell how you're feeling. And if a student is feeling down, there's been a couple times when the parents come and they say, so-and-so just isn't having a very good day today. And so I'll bring in a horse and we'll groom, and the horse will put their muzzle on the student's, shoulder or whatever. And it's just like they just sense how that student's feeling. And if the student's feeling really good that day, the horse might be a little bit more vivacious and a little bit more excited. But most of the time we get squeals out of the students and they get really excited about it. So it's really cool that the horses can feel that as well. And the horses work with the students so well emotionally, and they can kind of connect on a totally different level. And it's just awesome. It's really cool.
Well, and as we said, you are a part of PATH, which is Professional
Association of Therapeutic Horsemanship International.
I know they've changed the name a bit to PATH, and I have to sometimes reach back to get what it says. But PATH is an organization based in Colorado, but they oversee, groups like this for therapeutic riding, basically all around North America. Mm-hmm. And so I'll tell you, we have an interview that we did recently with the head of PATH. So why don't we run that interview now and let people learn a little bit more about PATH and how they do it. And then we're going to come back. We're going to talk to some more of your people, and we are going to see how the horses are prepped and ready, and we're going to get a chance to see some of your students in action. So, Becca, thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, let's watch this interview with the CEO of PATH, and then we've got a lot more coming. We are at Sunrise, and it is a therapeutic riding center here in Richmond, Indiana. Stay with us on Speaking of Horses. We want to take a moment to thank many of the fine people who have made Speaking of Horses TV possible. King Barnes, custom designed and built to your specs, crafted by experienced craftsmen just for you. Visit King Barnes for your class barn. Revitavet, light therapy products to assist in faster healing of your horse. Use the light pads to warm up muscles before riding. It's innovative, reliable, and you get top results. Revitavet. And a thank you to Just Dump It, easy and safe handles for your wheelbarrow. Save your back with this dump system, easy to install and use. Check out Just Dump It. And Hoosier Horse Trailers, crafted and built in northern Indiana. Unique designs and factory-crafted living interiors. Amish craftsmen at their best. That's Hoosier Horse Trailers. Thank you for your support of Speaking of Horses.
For the past 20 years, Markel has been very proud to provide a specially designed insurance package for PATH centers. The Professional Association of Therapeutic Horsemanship International. The general liability and excess accident medical policies work together to protect PATH centers as they provide equine-assisted therapy activities for clients of all ages. The horses are a special therapeutic gift for the children and adults that get so much from them, and Markel is extremely proud to be associated with PATH. PATH helps so many and also provides a home for our older horses. A horse that's unable to do like my Danny does and carry an older adult around can often find a wonderful second life as a therapy horse with children, with adults. It's a wonderful life for them. It's wonderful for the people that they help.
Hey, here we are. Speaking of horses, we are still at Sunrise, and we're doing this tour around Sunrise Therapeutic Riding program, and we're very happy to be standing here now with Buffy, and Buffy is the acting president of the board of directors. And Buffy, first of all, welcome, and tell us how you got involved with horses.
Thank you. I got involved with horses probably about 4 years ago, coming out to Sunrise, volunteering. And I enjoyed it so much that now I'm acting president of the board. I feed the horses, I bring in the hay, and I enjoy being around the horses.
So not only do you oversee the events on the table with the board of directors, but that also relates to going out and feeding and haying and everything, which is really a love. If you love horses, those chores are not work, they're fun, right?
That's true. It is fun.
Yeah. So your involvement with horses really just started when you got involved with Sunrise.
Correct. Yes.
So you live close by, and you're down here all the time, right?
Yes, about 7 days a week. I'm about 5 minutes away, but I enjoy it.
Well, there's something about horses that if you're around them, they have a very magnetic personality. They're very perceptive. And horses just do wonders for anybody as far as changing your attitudes.
Yes, they will.
I've told people, horses are so honest. If you can train and work with horses, you can raise kids.
Exactly.
Because you have to be honest, you have to mean what you say, and what you say always has to mean this. They don't understand a joke. You can't play a trick on them. They don't get that. This means this means this. And as long as these things are honest, day by day, they're right there with you.
Yes, they will respond to that.
And if we did that with all of our kids, we'd have a much better world.
Oh, yes, we would.
So with the therapeutic riding program and your involvement, I bet you've seen a lot of kids really benefit from this, haven't you?
I have, yes. Children and adults.
And it's not necessarily just riding, it's just being around the horses.
True. Just be here.
It's funny, horses helped build this country. I mean, they did the logging, they did the plowing, they pulled the wagons, they did all of that. And now that we've had the mechanization over the last century or so, with tractors and trucks and the like, horses weren't needed to do that labor, but they found a whole new way to help us.
Yes. Therapeutically, yes.
Well, just in general. Okay?
Well, true.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, there's the just being there and the trail riding or the therapeutic, any of those programs with the horses, they've just taken on a whole new role. But in my mind, they're still as important to America as they ever were.
Yes, that will never change.
I will tell you this because it's a bit of trivia for you. Before we had the 18-wheelers, and the semi-trucks, 18-wheelers, and air ride seats, and all the ways we travel around now with trucks, all the freight in this country got hauled in a wagon pulled by horses.
Yes.
And the driver of that drove a team of horses and pulled the wagon. Therefore, the driver was driving the team, and he was a teamster.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yes.
And if you look at the Teamsters Union today, the logo is still a wagon wheel and horse heads, and that's why. But that's how they built America, and they're rebuilding America right now through all of the other avenues horses have.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
All right, we're going to look around and see some more of Sunrise. Buffy, thank you again.
Thank you.
And you stay with us right here on Speaking of Horses. We want to take a moment to thank many of the fine people that have made Speaking of Horses possible. Source Nutrition, micronutrients for your horse or dog, developed and harvested from the ocean on the Maine coast. Years of research and development for the best supplements available. Source Nutrition. Equessentials, horse conditioning and prep products developed by Dr. Tom Tweeton. Totally safe, improve your horse's coat and health. That's Equessentials. Echo Green Grid, stop mud and uneven wet ground. Echo Green Grid installs easily to give a great base for footing. Use it in the paddock around the water tank or use it in the barn. That's Echo Green Grid. And a thank you to Fly Predators. Fly Predators from Spalding Labs. Control flies and fly larvae the easy way. Use Fly Predators and flies will be gone. Thank you to these people who support Speaking of Horses.
Okay, so this is our bucket that we keep all of the riding utensils in. What I'm going to use first is what's called a curry comb. This comb, it just gets all the mud and muck that's caked on her fur. It's going to get that all off. So we're going to use this first. We want to start at the top of the neck here. And we're just going to brush with the fur. So we're going to go down. And once you get to the back, you want to brush at the top first. Because if you brush down here first and then brush up here, you're going to have to brush this again because this is going to get all that dust and dirt on there. So you want to brush from the top. Now you have to be careful because this is a curry comb and it's a hard comb, so you don't want to use it on their sensitive legs. So we have a different brush for that. So after you're done using the curry comb, obviously you want to do that all over their body on both sides. We're going to get out what's called a dandy brush. Now this brush is still a stiff bristle brush, but it is a lot softer than the curry comb. So we're going to do the same thing. Start at the top. This gets all the loose dust just to come off. Now this one, you're going to do the same thing like I said. Start at the back and go down. And then you're going to hit the legs with this one. The legs still are definitely going to have some caked on mud and dirt. So this stiff bristle brush is going to get that all off. So you're just going to go down. And again, you're going to do that on both sides. Now you want to be really careful because you do have to do both sides. And let's say the head of the horse is blocked and I can't get around the front. We need to go around the back. So what you want to do is you want to put your hand on their bottom and just come around really close so that they know you're there and they're not going to kick you. And if they do, you're close enough to where they can't go too far out and it's not going to hurt. So we're going to come back over here. Now sometimes they get burrs, so we just use a plain comb. It's the same as what you might use on your own hair, and we're going to brush. Now the mane should lay on the right side of the horse, so you can't see it, but she does have a mane over here, and that's what we would use to brush that. The last thing you want to do, and make sure you absolutely use this before you ride, it's called a hoof pick. Now this one has a pick on one side and a brush on the other. So you're going to come over here, and you're going to go down. Now there's two ways to do this, or three ways, excuse me. So the first way, they have a chestnut on the inside of the leg. You can squeeze that chestnut, and she picked up her foot. Now the other way you can do it is feel right here, where there's a little bit of an indent in her leg, and just squeeze, and then pick up her hoof. And she picked up for me again. Now if she doesn't do that, she also has a little bit of feathers. Now she's a quarter horse, so she doesn't have the big feathers like Friesians or Clydesdales have, but you can pull on those and she'll lift. So I'll do that, and again she lifted for me. You're just going to take the corner of the hoof pick and go down. Now she does have rubber shoes. She had a little bit of laminitis, so she has rubber shoes as well as the metal around. So, but we still have to be careful for the frog, which is the tender part in the middle of the hoof. You don't want to pick that because that's really sensitive and it's going to hurt them. So you just do this, you get all the rocks out if they have rocks or hard pieces, and then you can use the brush to brush everything. And the brush is soft enough that you can use that on their on the frog of their foot. So you can brush all the excess dirt and stuff off of there. Okay, so now we've gotten the saddle. So what we want to do is we want to start with her saddle blanket, and we're just going to unfold it, and we want to put it kind of up on her neck at first, because what you want to do is get it in perfect position, you want to pull it down. If you start from the back and pull up, it's going to ruffle all of her fur, and she's going to be really uncomfortable. So we're just going to put it down there. Now the top of it is right on top of her withers, so that when you put your saddle on, your saddle is going to be centered in her body. This is her girth, which we're not going to use right this second. We're just going to set it right up there. She can hold that for us. So what we're going to do, she has a little bit of a sway back. She is a 26-year-old quarter horse. So what we want to do to rise the saddle up, make it more comfortable for her and the rider, we're going to put that right there where the saddle's going to sit. Next, obviously, is the saddle. I'm going to put the saddle right there, get it evened out. I'm going to make sure that it's even, and make sure the saddle pad or saddle riser is even as well. And this particular saddle does have keepers that I covered up. So these are leather keepers for the girth. So we're just going to wrap this around the first one, and it's just Velcro. So you just Velcro that on there to keep it in there and keep everything from flopping and flying around. So what we're going to do next, this is another keeper that we can use for the leathers as well. We're just going to put that down. This is her girth. Now some girths are contoured, so you have to really be careful about how you put it. This one is even contoured on both sides, so it's okay whatever direction you put it on. Some of them, if they're only contoured on one side and flat on the other, you want to put the contouring up kind of by her chest so that the contouring points toward her head. Some of them also have an elastic on one side. I always remember that. Elastic goes on the left, so elastic and left. So we're just going to put this on. And there are little metal runners. You want to make sure that the metal runners is where you put your girth leathers, just so that it doesn't get stuck. Now when I do the first side, I always put it on the lower hole so that when we are ready to adjust it, we can adjust it properly. And what we'll do is we'll do that on the other side. So I'm going to go around. And we're just doing the same side, or same thing on this side.
Stop. Bailey. Stop.
So what I found when I went on the other side is that I put this girth up just a tad too high. So we want to move it down a little bit so that we can get it on the other side. Now this particular horse also really does not like the girth, so she's going to blow her stomach out a little bit. So what we're going to do when we're done doing the girth, we're going to stretch her out a little bit, and we're also going to walk her around typically before the rider and then double check the girth, just to make sure it's not too loose.
Stop. Bailey, knock it off. Stop. Why is she biting?
Because of the girth.
Okay. Stop.
Okay, so we do have a little bit of a problem with this girth since it's a smaller girth and it's a dressage girth, which is meant for this saddle. It's a little bit too small for her, so we're just going to switch out the girth. Okay, so now we've saddled our horse up, and because we're a therapeutic riding center, sometimes we do have students that have special needs. So there's a couple things that we can use. We do have this specialty saddle cover. It's a riding saddle cover. So there's little slots over here where the stirrups can go through. You can see that right there. And you just put it on the saddle. Now I'm not going to put it totally on,
Back.
but
No.
you can just see how
No.
it sits.
Back.
And it will fit the saddle and go around to where the stirrup can go in. Now this is meant for students who have like skin problems, or even sometimes I use it for students in the winter when the saddle's a little bit colder, so that's really awesome to have. This is another thing that you can use. If I'm behind a rider, I can hold on to these straps and the rider can wear this as a belt, and I can hold on to them behind me. Or the rider can have two sidewalkers on either side holding the student. And that's really great for a student who's just working on their core muscles and their balance.
Around Sunrise, here on Speaking of Horses, Janice Edelman is with me, and Janice is the founder of this program. So tell us a little bit about the founding of the program and what inspired you to do that.
Well, actually, I'm one of 3 founders of the program. I'm the only one still in the area. What happened was I was working for the Department of Public Welfare at the time, and one of my coworkers had a daughter who had been volunteering with a program over in Yellow Springs, Ohio. And Carol decided that she wanted to become a certified instructor. At the time, the only way to do that was to go up to Chef Center for the Handicapped in Augusta, Michigan, and go through a 6-week course there. And to get into that, you had to already demonstrate that you knew how to manage a barn, how to teach, and how to ride. And she didn't think she could pass the riding test. I was giving lessons at the time, just on the side in the evenings. And so Carol's mother, Margaret, asked me if I would give Carol some lessons. And sure, I did. She got to the point where she felt confident she could pass the test, went up, did pass the test, and took the course. And while she was up there, Margaret and I went up to visit to see what was going on and just kind of get an idea what she was doing, and saw the program there, saw what they were doing. On the way home, we got to talking. I had school horses. I had equipment, not the specialized equipment, but at least basic equipment. And we decided when Carol finished, why didn't we start a program here? And that's what we did.
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
The 3 of us are the ones that actually started
Okay.
the program. Carol and I sat down and worked out the paperwork, the articles of incorporation. We got a little help from a lawyer friend. And so
Well,
forth.
these programs are, there's so much of a rewarding nature to doing this. I mean, unless you have been around a therapeutic riding program of any kind, you really can't fathom the internal rewards you get from this.
It's seeing the results of this program that's kept us going when we felt like we were beating our heads against the wall, when some people were saying we ought to just give up. When you've seen something like a little boy with CP who was not supposed to ever be able to walk, who was just had no muscle tone at all in his trunk and couldn't even sit up on the horse, who ended up walking without aids as a young adult. When you've seen things like that, you just can't give up.
That's right. That's right. If you love horses and you love helping people, there's no better way to marry the two together than doing something like this.
Absolutely.
It's so rewarding. Now, you've been running here since when? When did you found this group?
1980.
1980. So we're now at, almost 34 years, right?
That's right. Actually, we were incorporated January the 27th of 1980.
So it is 34 years.
It is 34 years.
Wow. Now I feel old because 1980 sort of seems like just a few weeks ago, right? But it's a wonderful program, and you are associated with PATH, which is the North American group. Used to be NARA, now PATH.
That's right. We started out with NARA, and we've gone right along with them all along. So.
And that group does a wonderful thing as far as supplying data and helping to certify people and make sure that things happen in a proper way. But when you do the right things with these programs, it just there are many stories that I've seen at various centers, and I'm really glad to be making this one aware, because this show is also airing locally on TV here in Richmond, Indiana. So it's just a wonderful program. And anybody in the Richmond area watching this, get involved with Sunrise. You know, you can get involved as a volunteer. You can get involved if you know somebody that could use the services. Just get a hold of you. So you just plan on chugging right along and growing this program, right?
I think you've probably already talked about our new acquisition, the property that we're buying. We have a big capital campaign going on right now. Eventually there will be a new facility which will be a lot better than this one in terms of allowing us to run year-round, to provide better care for the horses and so forth.
Well, I have to mention, you may not see it on camera, every barn has a barn cat, right? And we have one right here that's decided to try to get on camera. Whoop, now not. One look at my face and that cat's gone. Well, Janice, thanks very much for taking a moment to talk with us.
My pleasure.
And we are at Sunrise, and Janice is one of the three original founders. Our tour around Sunrise, you've met various people involved with Sunrise. So hopefully you have a much better idea about what therapeutic riding is all about. More importantly, what the Sunrise program is about here in Richmond, Indiana. We will see you next time on Speaking of Horses. We at Speaking of Horses would like to thank some of the people who helped to make Speaking of Horses TV possible. A big thank you to Equine Clot. Equine Clot is a wonderful product. Carry it in your saddlebag, put it in your first aid kit, wrap it on an equine wound. It immediately promotes clotting and is a great first aid tool. Thank you to Equine Clot. And to EquestraSafe, a complete line of equestrian riding products for trail, for arena, for wherever. From reflective vests, reflective headgear, tapes, signage, everything you need to ride safely and to be safe with your horse is available at EquestraSafe.com. Check them out. Thanks to all of the fine people that make Speaking of Horses TV possible.